Morning everybody, how are y'all doing today? I'm doing pretty great myself, honestly, because today is going to be one of those rare videos where it's just gotten so much backlash that I haven't even watched it before sitting down to record, and we're going to all be watching it through together on the first time. Because Minx actually recommended me this channel. Shout out to Minx for the recommendation, thank you very much. And I was just kind of scrolling through and I saw this video, I clicked on it, I saw the like to dislike ratio, and I'm like, you know what? If it's getting this much backlash and Minx was recommending it as well, I'm just gonna go for it. So this will be one of the only times that I'm not able to actually tell you guys what this is gonna be about in the intro, but from what I can gather, it's something about like apparently Microsoft not providing enough competition with Sony, even though, you know, Sony's afraid of losing some of the games that Microsoft will be acquiring with Activision. But anyway, without further ado, I say let's get into this.
What's going on, my friends, my family, my fellow gamers? It's your boy Porter Rock 77 with a quick hot take. And yeah, you read the title. Xbox needs to get their ish together, bro. And you Xbox fans, y'all need to stop capping for the dumbest stuff on Xbox, bro. Because it's clear, it is absolutely clear that Xbox is not providing true competition.
I mean, in regards to getting their stuff together, I kind of agree with that in regards to, like, Halo Infinite, because I actually just re-downloaded it recently after, like, not playing it for 6 months or something to try it out. The game is still fun, but the fact that I'm still playing on the exact same maps, and I haven't gotten, like, a single new one, and it's almost been a year, and also, you know, the UI still sucks. Split-screen co-op got canceled, and all of their sweet little lies. I mean, it's really just not acceptable, and I would agree with you if you were referring to that, but how is Microsoft not providing good competition with Sony? If that's the case, then why has Sony openly admitted to being afraid of losing Activision games, specifically Call of Duty? Also, I'd say, you know, the competition of Microsoft keeping their price of the console the exact same versus Sony is, you know, increasing in a bunch of countries. I'd say that's pretty good competition as well. But let's hear his reasoning.
They're just not, man. Like, yeah. It feels like, it honestly feels like this is just a one console industry now. Now, granted, Nintendo's out there with their Switch, doing their thing, creating great exclusives, but they're just so far removed from providing competition. So let me explain something to you guys, all right?
I know I'm going to repeat this point a lot in this video, so I'm just giving that heads up now, but I'll say it again, and I'll probably say it 50 million more times throughout this video, but if Xbox is not providing good competition, why is Sony afraid of losing Activision franchises like Call of Duty? Why did Jim Ryan say that even after the contract ends, an extra 3 years not in contract is not adequate? Because I'm telling you right now, once Call of Duty does go exclusive, which I hope it never does, but like it's going to at some point, like probably far off into the future. But when it does, Sony is gonna have to get off their butts and actually start like putting in some time to make a good like shooter game of some kind that could even have a chance of competing with COD. I mean, we're seeing this already. Aren't like Sony's next 5 games or something like, or not next 5, but aren't 5 of their upcoming games going to be like live service multiplayer games or something like that? Why would they be doing that if they didn't have competition? If they had no competition at all, they could just sit back and let the money roll in, and they could be as lazy as they want, but clearly that's not the case. Because notice how ever since Microsoft has started acquiring these studios like Bethesda and Activision, it seems like Sony has been announcing the future of their exclusives more and more, and they're announcing all these live service games. And guess which companies make live service games that make Sony a lot of money? If you said Bethesda and Activision, then ding ding ding, you are correct.
Alright, Nintendo's doing phenomenal. The Switch is selling outstandingly. There is no doubt about it. But none of that impacts PlayStation. None of that puts Sony in a position where games might go exclusive to Nintendo. Or a big third-party game might end up on Nintendo, even if it's timed exclusive, over PlayStation. They're just two different brackets, right? So Sony has no fear. Regardless of how well Nintendo sells, they ain't worrying about Nintendo trying to capture the third-party market or take away big games, right?
I mean, I absolutely agree with that. Sony is not afraid of Nintendo whatsoever. Because at least in regards to the recent Nintendo consoles, I said from like the Wii onward, I don't know about before then because I didn't play consoles before then, and also I didn't exist for a lot of that period. But yeah, all these recent Nintendo devices have been like secondary systems that you get basically just for the exclusives, in the case of like the Switch for the portability. And that's been working out completely fine for Nintendo. I mean, hasn't the Switch broken 100 million sales? Okay, so doing a quick Google search, it looks like they either have or they're about to break 100 million sales. Like, Nintendo does not need to worry about, you know, making better hardware or letting third-party games, like, you know, allowing them to be playable, like, you know, with more powerful hardware so it can support the newer games that come out. They don't need to worry about that because they know that the vast majority of people who buy their console are buying it as a secondary console, and they're just buying it probably for the exclusives like Mario and Zelda. So yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent right there. But basically all I'm saying is, yes, I agree with him. You're right. Sony is not afraid of Nintendo, and they have no need to be. But Sony has quite literally recently come out and admitted they are scared of losing Call of Duty. So I just find it a little weird that you're trying to argue that Microsoft hasn't been providing good competition.
And then with Microsoft, Xbox, who really is the near peer competitor. You see how it is, man. Sony gives no goddamn. They have no competitor, bro. And because of that, they wildin', man.
Again, if Sony has no competitor, why are they starting to make more live service games like the ones they're going to lose once they go exclusive to Xbox and PC? For the 50 millionth time, why are they afraid, openly, admittedly, by the way, afraid of losing Call of Duty? Because I'm just gonna say it, dude, Sony would not be afraid if they didn't actually have to compete. Also, something I forgot to mention earlier, you know, if Sony has no competition, you know, they just don't even have to try anymore, then why are they starting to go the Microsoft route of buying out studios? Remember back in, what was it, like February or March? I don't remember exactly when it was, but remember when they bought what used to be Microsoft's own studio, Bungie? And guess what Bungie's main game is right now? It's a first-person shooter that is a live service. And you gotta think about how desperate that must have been, because think about it, Bungie said like, hey, yeah, you can buy us, but like we're keeping everything multi-plat. At least I'm pretty sure that's what they said. So it's Bungie isn't even going to be making exclusive games for PlayStation. I think PlayStation's mainly just worried about trying to fill the void in their wallet that's going to be left there when Call of Duty goes exclusive inevitably.
You know what I'm saying? When you look at everything holistically with PlayStation right now, right? They have great games. They got great talent, but they're in that high on life mode again. You know, like what coming off the PlayStation 2 and entering the PS3, where they just thought they could do the most and see how things go. They're back at that. Coming off the PlayStation 4, they're at their best, at their most successful, and now you see where they're towing the line, man. I was on Persona's podcast about an hour ago, whatever, and we just bringing up points like, yo, we know more announced shows and movies from PlayStation than actual games from them.
Okay, so I just had to do a quick Google search because the only actual show I had heard of that Sony was working on for PlayStation was The Last of Us. But looking here, it looks like we have a Twisted Metal series, a Ghost of Tsushima movie, a God of War Amazon series, a Horizon series, and a Gran Turismo movie and or TV show. So yes, he is correct. We do know more TV shows and movies that they're working on than actual games. But that's only named games. Because like I said earlier, think about it. So we have Ragnarok coming in November. We have Spider-Man 2 coming probably next year or 2024. Then we have Wolverine coming in, what, like 24 or 25, something like that. I think there was a couple other games announced at the State of Play the other day. And remember, like I said earlier, I'm pretty sure they're working on like 5 or so like live service multiplayer games. Actually, I just did a quick search to fact check that. It's actually 12. And that's by the end of 2025. So that's roughly 15 more games coming from PlayStation Studios in the next 3 years or so. And look, I'm no math expert or anything, but 8 is just over half of 15. So basically, Sony has almost twice the amount of games coming out that have been announced so far that they do TV shows and movies. Also, I'm not trying to say this is true, but one could draw the observation that they might be working on some TV shows to counter, you know, the Halo series on Paramount. Again, I'm not making that claim claim. I know that show is trash, but I'm just saying one could draw that observation and make that claim, which would again be a result of competition.
You know, we know supposedly a Days Gone movie, a Gravity Rush movie, The Last of Us TV show, Twisted Metal TV show and stuff. You know, we're naming all this content on shows and not enough content on games and stuff like that. And yeah, we know Sony's doing their best with third party and all that stuff, but it's just crazy, man. Like, there's all this stuff. They took away PlayStation Experience. They got away from E3 and stuff like that. You know, it's just weird, you know.
I mean, I do agree it is weird that they stopped showing up to E3, but at the same time, you know, Sony loves their exclusives, so they probably wanted to save their own exclusive announcements for their own exclusive show.
You know, it almost feels like, yo, it wouldn't color me shocked if the next PlayStation showcase was primarily games that they're gonna put on PC and more announcements on TV shows. You know, it's just crazy and stuff like that. And we know this is all tied to the console price hike, but it's like, man.
Well, that take aged like a glass of milk because this video was uploaded, I believe, 2 to 3 weeks ago. And obviously the state of play was, what, 2 days ago? Yeah, at least at the time of recording this video and probably at the time of uploading as well, it was 2 days ago. And Sony, unfortunately, did not announce a single first-party game coming to PC. It was either third-party stuff like Tekken 8, or they showed off another trailer for God of War Ragnarok. And I think a couple other first-party games as well. Although today we finally got the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection release date, which is going to be, I believe, October 19th. So if, you know, the fanboys get upset about that one, you guys can definitely expect some videos on that in the future. I'll keep my eyes peeled like bananas.
Like, it just seems like there's more weird stuff that we're getting announced. Yo, it's gotten to the point, look how crazy it is, that Neil Druckmann, so The Last of Us had like the little trailer for the HBO show, whatever, and Neil Druckmann made a tweet and put, "You ain't seen nothing yet." I don't know if he's talking about a game or if he's still talking about the show. I don't know. One of the top developers for PlayStation, and I don't know the context of his tweet. I don't know what he's talking about.
I mean, using basic common sense, if he put out that tweet either during the presentation for the TV show or right after, I think anyone with, you know, a half-functioning brain cell could probably deduce that he was, in fact, talking about the TV show. Like, my dude, you gotta use context to figure this stuff out. If he said this during or after the presentation for the show, then, yeah, you know, something tells me, I'm not a detective or anything, I'm not Sherlock Holmes, but, you know, something tells me that he was, in fact, talking about the show.
I have no idea if he's talking about his game or maybe the trailer for a game, trailer for factions or new IP. I have no idea. I have no idea which medium he's talking about, bro. Yo, conversations that potentially they're working on a Gravity Rush movie. They closed down the studio that made the game, but they're gonna make the movie, bro. This shit is crazy. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, I know PlayStation's gonna work it out, but I don't know. It's just crazy. And this, like, you gotta have an anchor, right? An anchor's competition. A competition will put you in check, right?
Okay, so I'm not entirely understanding the argument you're making right now, dude, because, you know, if they didn't have competition, that would probably mean that, you know, they wouldn't be doing anything because they wouldn't have to. They don't have competition. They don't have someone who could take their spot. So if they don't have any competition at all, why are they going out of their way to make these, like, 15 more first-party games in the next 3 years? Why are they putting so much time, effort, and money into making all these TV shows? Like, yeah, you could make the argument, oh, it's just because they want to make more money, and that's a very valid point, and that's a pretty good argument for the TV show and movie side of things. But in regards to the game side of things, remember, they're going to be coming out with, what, like 12 more live service games within the next 3 years? Do you really think that's a coincidence after, you know, Microsoft acquired the king of, you know, live service, at least, you know, in terms of generating money, that being Call of Duty? Look, I don't have a business major, I'm not going into business, but I know that there's no such thing as a coincidence when it comes to these console manufacturers.
And you'll stay in that boundaries, right? And Xbox is not doing it, man. All this fake talk about value, that shit ain't working, man. It's not working, man. Ampere Analysis said that even with the price increase, this is not going to impact PlayStation's bottom line. They literally saying that Sony can increase the price of the PlayStation and people will still buy that over Xbox. So go ahead and tell me Xbox is really providing global competition, man. They not, bro.
Okay, but here's my question, though. And I'm not trying to, undermine their analytics. I'm not trying to say they're not a trustworthy source or anything like that. But what I am going to say is nobody knows for sure until the price increase actually goes through. Are people still going to buy PlayStations after the price increase? Yes, of course. But now, not only are Xboxes more widely available, but they're also going to be cheaper. If you don't think that's going to affect whether somebody buys an Xbox versus a PlayStation, then you might need to go in for a brain scan.
At best, it's just America. And I think you know what's crazy? All the Xbox fans outside of America is using the American success to reflect on them. Sorry, bro. If you an Xbox gamer hyping Xbox outside the US, your brand ain't that big where you at, man. It ain't that big where you at. Bro, if you ain't in the US, it ain't that big, man. It's clear, man. Sony don't give a damn. They raising the prices wherever, except for the US, which is possibly the only place where Xbox. Hell, they raising the price like in Mexico or some ish.
A very simple Google search could have convinced you to not have uttered that sentence, my guy. Because a little fun fact for everybody out there, the Xbox is actually the more popular console in the United States than the PlayStation. More people own an Xbox in the US than a PlayStation. And you might be wondering, why exactly is that the case? Well, I'm going to explain it why. It's very simple. Sony is a Japanese company, so therefore, who's going to buy their products the most, or who's going to buy the most of their products? That's right, Japan. Microsoft is an American company, so who's going to buy the majority of their products? That's right, Americans. So think about it this way, if interest for Xbox is highest in the United States, Sony is not going to make the PlayStation less desirable when they are already in second place in that country. However, in other countries where they're increasing the price, guess what? The PlayStation is the more popular pick there, meaning they run less of a risk of losing dominance. If they increase the price of the PS5 in the States, that would make, the more preferred console, being the Xbox, even more preferable for a lot of people. However, because in other countries the PlayStation is more dominant, they can get away with stuff like this easier. Because if the majority of people already have a PlayStation, or, their friends have a PlayStation, whatever, even if the price does go up, a lot of games still aren't cross-platform play. So if people say wanted to play with their friends, they would still have to get a PlayStation, and given PlayStation is more dominant in those other countries, the likeliness that their friends have a PlayStation over an Xbox is very high. I know that was a really long explanation, but I think I got my point across.
And I thought Xbox had Mexico. Not even that, bro. Listen, your brand ain't that big in your neck of the woods. Unless you in the United States, don't even act like your brand is the Xbox brand. It ain't, bro. Yo, Microsoft gotta do something. Phil, you gotta get these banging games out there, man. You gotta stop playing. Yo, cause this ain't you slacking could potentially make PlayStation soft and weak and stuff like that. And arrogant. I don't need that. I need PlayStation at their best. But when you ain't got no competition, why you need to be in the gym for?
Well, luckily, PlayStation does have competition. Again, if they didn't have competition, why are they working on all these live service games? Why did they decide to, coincidentally, quote-unquote, buy out a studio that works on a live service first-person shooter after Microsoft did the exact same thing? Again, like I said before, it's not really a coincidence.
If ain't nobody willing to get in the ring and fight you, then why you need a train? If people are just going to let you hold on to the heavyweight belt and ain't nobody challenging you, then you ain't got no reason to train. You're just going to sit there and just collect the money. Can't have that, man. Xbox, you need to step up. And you Xbox guys are the worst, bro. You guys brag about Xbox on the stupidest stuff, man. I swear to God. You guys give credit on shit that, you need to stop capping on your podcast, man. You got to ask yourself a simple question, man. Is Xbox bringing the banging games that you can play on your controller?
I mean, last I checked, Xbox actually released more first-party games than PlayStation did last year, and pretty much all of Xbox's were bangers. Yes, even Halo Infinite when it came out.
And if it ain't that, because that's the soul out of any console. The soul out of any console is the banging games that you can play. If you ain't getting that, then you ain't doing good, bro. None of this whole kumbaya, Phil Spencer is providing Xbox and a Pop-Tart. Ain't nobody give a damn about no Pop-Tart. Ain't nobody trying to eat that shit. That shit's like $8 now. That shit went up too. You know, somebody trying to pay $8 for a goddamn Pop-Tart? Like, stop that shit, bro.
Does this guy not realize he just disproved himself by saying that? You just said that less people, or nobody apparently, is gonna buy a Pop-Tart because the price just went up. Well, guess what console's price just went up? If you guess the PlayStation 5, then ding ding ding, we have a winner.
Stop that trash, man. Y'all need to do better. Y'all really need to focus and stop worrying about trying to make. And that's another problem. Reason why this shit is happening, you guys spend more energy trying to make PlayStation look bad than Xbox trying to get Xbox to be good. Cut that energy out, bro. Listen, you're not blowing out PlayStation's candle, no matter how hard you try. So you Xbox Blackcats, cut that shit out. You ain't blowing nobody's candle out. Y'all be like, you look like a 2-year-old trying to blow out your damn birthday candle. You ain't doing it, son. Cut it out.
I mean, you said that, Microsoft's spending more time trying to make PlayStation look bad than themselves looking good, but I'm just going to throw this out here. If one company starts to look worse, doesn't that make the other company look better? Or we can go the other way. If one company starts to look better, doesn't that start to make the other company look worse?
Y'all really need to focus on Xbox and really give them true criticism so they could be on the path to create, banging games and stuff like that. And don't accept mediocrity just because on Game Pass. Don't do that trash, man. That shit ain't helping, bro. Your capping is fucking me up. It's fucking our shit up, bro. We need heavyweight contenders. Get your goddamn preferred platform in the goddamn gym. Do them push-ups. You know what I'm saying? Get them games and get back out there and fight.
Well, right now, Microsoft's working out with two extremely heavy dumbbells, those being, Activision and Bethesda. But you forgot one little part of your whole gym analogy. Now, I don't go gym too often, but I know that when you work out, you're trying to build up muscles and stuff, it takes time. I can't just walk into a gym, pick up a 200-pound dumbbell, lift with one arm, and then all of a sudden, boom, I can lift 200 pounds with one arm. It takes time and effort, and next year when Starfield releases, we'll see if those reps that Microsoft's been doing with Bethesda is working out for them.
You guys capping on the dumbest stuff, bro. And look where we at, man. Sony out here literally like, yo, who? They don't even recognize the letter X in the goddamn alphabet. That's how crazy this shit is, bro. And until we get true competition, they're just gonna keep doing this because Xbox is allowing Sony to do whatever the hell, and Nintendo.
I'm trying not to repeat myself, but again, Sony is afraid of losing Call of Duty. Sony is working on 12 live service games that will be released within the next 3 years. Do you really think it's a coincidence that they're starting to work on these games right after Microsoft bought 2 huge studios that work on live service games?
By doing their own thing, they are also allowing Sony. Because Sony ain't worried about no brand new next generation console from Nintendo that could take over the market and cut into their shares where, they're trying to capture third party and all that stuff. They ain't trying to do that shit. So then who is? Man, anyway, you let me know what you think, man. Hit me up in the comment section. Follow me on Twitter, PorterRock77_. That's right, there's an underscore. And you let me know. But, yo, this is crazy, bro. Xbox really out here ain't doing a goddamn thing, bro. Anyway, you guys take care. Peace.
Well, I'd say I gave him all my thoughts and opinions that I wanted to share, but yeah, why don't you guys let me know in the comments as well? Do you agree with me and think that Xbox is providing good competition, or are you with this guy? Do you think that it's not good enough? At the end of the day, I've presented all the evidence I can, so if you still want to disagree with me, that's totally okay. I mean, that's what this video was. It was just a nice disagreement between two dudes on the internet, and that's really all it comes down to at the end of the day. But anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will catch you all next time.